Hi guys, I'm Shmee, hello and welcome back to the channel where you join me today to talk about the Shelby GT500 and what is happening with the Shmeemobile. But before we do, I'm here at the moment with the Triple F collection who are taking out a number of the cars to go and do a photo shoot, I think with the Koenigsegg Regera, the Pagani Huayra BC, and also here at the back, about to be coming on out, the Bugatti Chiron as well. So we're going to see them heading on out before I go for a drive in the GT500 to have a bit of fun with that. That was the startup of the Chiron. It's all happening at once. Crazy cars, amazing collection, and I cannot wait myself to be driving this. Out emerges the fabulous blue Bugatti Chiron. It's just returned recently from a big service up with Miller Motor Cars. The Huayra BC is also spectacular, as is, well, the 300 SL and the McLaren Sabre, but the cars all heading out together. This is quite something even just to spectate upon for the moment, with these incredible cars manoeuvring around. The Koenigsegg Regera and the Bugatti Chiron with about 1,500 horsepower each, both the ultimate, I guess, towards top-end hypercars of speed. And then the Huayra BC, little more needs to be said, 120, flaps just folding down there at the back. Look at that view. Wow, they're going to be heading on out. I can't quite believe what we're looking at over there. That's mega. The hypercar trio are out for their drive, but let's talk about this angry beast, the Shelby GT500, and what's going on with the Shmeemobile. Now, this particular car here with the Triple F collection is a very nice top spec. It's got the carbon fiber track package, it has the painted over the top stripes, the black against the grey, and believe me, when we start it up in a moment, the cold start, particularly considering how cold it is today, is going to sound epic. But let's rewind back a little bit first to explain the Shmeemobile, what's happening, will it happen, and so forth. When I was out here in 2019 for my big tour with the Ford GT, you might remember one of my stops was to go to the Global Media Drive, the first drive of the GT500 in Las Vegas, Nevada in November 2019. At the time, I said I was buying one of these, it would become a Shmeemobile, I would take delivery of it around the second half of 2020 here in the US, drive it around and eventually export it, import it back into the UK and add it to the collection with the Ford GT and with the Heritage RS, the supercar, the hot hatch and the muscle car. Well, I think it goes without saying that 2020 did not go how anybody planned it was going to go. Around the time I would have needed to lock in the spec for mine, confirm the deposit and so forth, would have been about spring 2020, just when everything was being closed down and I didn't know when I would next be able to be here in the US to even take delivery, so of course I couldn't go ahead with it. Fast forward a little bit more, still didn't really know when things were going to open up, so I decided it would be more logical to wait until I could get back out here and then decide what to do and whether to proceed. So today, that's why I want to drive the car again. Maybe I could place a new order now for one down the line, maybe I could go and buy one that's on the market, or maybe it wouldn't make sense because, well, now there are a few new arrivals like the GT Black Series, the Hurricane STO, and the M3 competition. Today is all about learning and being reminded about the GT500 and potentially working out whether this has to happen. But the first thing I would like to do is fire this up, because I know it's going to sound absolutely ludicrous. I can tell you that from experience, especially inside here in the garage with all of the other fantastic cars around us. But like I said, carbon fiber track package, full fixed carbon fiber wing. If you don't have the track pack, you have a lower wing instead. It also comes as well with the carbon fiber wheels, the, 7-spoke carbon wheels that we've got, and the track pack also removes the rear seats, so you just have basically a parcel shelf storage area instead of having the extra seats in the back. But let's, I think, come through because, well, mark my words, this is going to sound very, very noisy. Up front, we've got the 5.2 litre supercharged V8, 760 horsepower, but let me just spin the camera around and take a listen to this very quickly. That's mad. Cars don't really sound like that very often anymore. Stock exhaust, factory exhaust system, with a deep, epic grumble. Also, to open up the engine bay, I'm just going to come and do this while it's bumbling away. We've got the latches on the top, so you release it inside, press both of these. He says, there we go, very cold, and there's another catch just underneath to lift this up. He says, difficult to release it. There we go. Oh, heavy bonnet. Supercharger sitting on the top. Strut brace over the top of that. Beastly engine. Remember, this car runs in the tens on the quarter mile from factory, which is mental for a $100,000 car with the track pack basically loaded. Add another 10,000 for the painted stripes. Anyway, we're going to take it out for a short drive back in the warmth because it's freezing out there. Sabre 300 SL. Yeah, so let's go for a drive. I've been driving this car for a couple of minutes, and that grumble that you constantly have in the background puts a massive smile on your face. We've got the dual clutch gearbox. It drives super easily. I'm currently in normal mode. I can press here the M, which pops it into manual, and we have the mode selector here, which you press up, and then on the main dashboard on the left-hand side, it goes through the different settings, so sport up into track. And then if we downshift through the gearbox, 5th gear, 4th gear, 3rd gear, 2nd gear, 1st gear, whatever you do, it just sounds epic. That proper old school big engine type grumble, which, well, no European cars do that or sound anything like that anymore. It's gone, and being in track mode as well gives you an entirely different dashboard display. But here, if I put my foot down, hopefully we've got okay traction. Listen to this. It's just brilliant. I mean, there's no disguising that this is a big and heavy car. It's a Mustang at the end of the day, and it's not a crazy expensive car, but the punch of performance from this thing, the bang for buck, is what made me so crazy about it originally. Not just that, you know, it's a Ford product, obviously a Shelby product as well, but how it would fit with the other cars in my collection. But as a car, you know, it's like what the GT8 does, but in the old school way with the manual gearbox. Is this like the last of the crazy muscle cars? I don't know what US regulations are going to do in future, but in here, you just drop down some gears. We've got about 7,500 RPMs of proper, throaty, grumbly V8. And you don't have to drive it like this. You can pop it into normal or slippery mode, which would probably be more appropriate for today, and take it easily. But to be honest, this is just fun, and this is what I think you don't get much of at this price point. I mean, the Corvette C8 is perhaps an alternative in terms of sporty prowess for the money, a little bit cheaper even than these. If you spec one of these without track pack, it's about $80,000. With the carbon track pack, it goes up to about $100,000, depending on paint, and then you can add $10,000 more if you want the over-the-top stripes, which here, with the openings that you have on the bonnet, or the hood, as would be set out here, look really pretty cool. I don't know entirely where I'm going. I'm just basically driving around, getting lost on a short little drive in this thing. But I'm just absolutely loving it. If I put the window down a touch, listen to that. The snap of the shift. That's what I remember from the press drive before. Mega. When you've got the more open roads and you can let those revs build up, the car just sounds so good. I know there was a lot of discussion about the manual gearbox versus the dual clutch, but this is a very, very, very good gearbox. It shifts really, really quickly. There is a strange display on the dashboard though, either side of the gear indicator, where it shows you the paddles, in case, I guess, you didn't know that left was down and right was up. You never know. I think that's often self-explanatory with these things, but the way it downshifts and blips straight rev matched into the next gear just sounds brutally aggressive, but while still being quite a comfortable car to drive. Now, I recently drove an EcoBoost rental Mustang when I was in Orlando, and that was a car that it was very soft. I didn't realize how soft it actually is. I mean, you've got to be relative in terms of price point out here, of course, but this is stiffened up enough to give you a level of driving dynamics without being overkill like a full hardcore supercar. So it's the kind of car that I could drive and go for big loops, let's say around the USA, and do a lot of miles with, which is, or was I should say, my original thinking with it. The question now that I'm going to have to decide is, does it make sense at this stage without really knowing what the rest of this year is going to have in store? How long will I be here? When can I come back? When would the car arrive if I ordered a new one? If I bought a used one? And you know, I've done some searching around, had a look at the market, had a look at what's out there, and still considering it, while being aware of the new cars and things back at home. And of course, the Shmeemuseum, having now basically sorted out a location, which is very exciting news. I need to be conscious conscious of the costs to get that up and running, and maybe that should be more of a priority than the car. I need to work all of this out myself, but honestly, driving it, being back in this and having plenty of that, the throaty V8, I mean, this is a very, very, very enjoyable thing to be driving. And no turn on red at this traffic light, but nonetheless, yeah, loving it. It actually has surprisingly decent grip, considering it is very, 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 very cold out there. What I will do though, which I find slightly annoying with the toggle selectors down here, is that to change the mode you can only press it up, you can't press it down to go through the modes, so you have to go all the way around through the different settings to get it back into normal mode, and then you can press the M, this is like on the Ford GT, in the centre to pop it back into automatic, and then you're just driving a really chilled out, comfortable, cool Mustang. And I mean, in this colour it's a little bit more subtle in the dark grey, because you don't see necessarily all of the crazy aero and the designs and so much at the front end, but in a bright colour like the launch cars and the Twister Orange and the Grabber Lime and even the Performance Blue and the different options, it can be quite a mean thing to look at and quite a standout thing. But this is, I mean, obviously this is me, so I'm going to put it back into track mode. This is a drive that's reminding me exactly why I thought I wanted to go for this. Listen to that. Why I wanted to go for it in the first place, because, and hold on for a moment, because it does this. Oh yes, it's cool, it's just cool. So this is going to be a discussion between head and heart of whether to add the GT500 to the Shmeemobiles. Given it's a Mustang, if we give it lots of power, yep, does what Mustangs do, but also has a lot of power. I mean, 760 horsepower is not exactly far off the Senna, to put that into some kind of perspective. And, well, actually, the Taycan is running up towards that kind of number. This thing has a lot of power. What a beautiful day it is. Cold, crisp, winter's day out in the GT500. This might have been quite an expensive test drive here with the Triple F collection. I might have to work out how the year ahead is going to shape up to somehow involve one of these. We're going to have to see what happens with that one. So as I often say, watch this space. For now, we'll continue enjoying the drive. There's a casual McLaren P1 rolling on out in the background, but one of the other things to discuss about this car is the interior in many ways. Some of the parts of it are really nice, for example the Alcantara steering wheel, having the carbon fibre trim, but then you do still have some of the cheaper plastic parts, obviously because it is a Mustang, and that's one of the things, I guess, that counters having so much power. It's a performance bargain in so many ways, but there are some things about it that you could refine even further, as we did with my Red RS, a proto trim, to do up some parts of the interior. The seats are the Recaro seats. These are actually really, really good. You've got the snake embroidery in the centre, good, comfortable fit, and you can actually retrofit back into the track pack after delivery to have the rear seats back in should you prefer, which is certainly something I would consider doing. Otherwise though, I mean, it's just a cacophony of noise. Gosh, that's cold. Take a listen outside to this. It's actually mental. It's actually completely mental. We've got cruise control, suspension adjustment, audio controls. You can do all sorts of things with the digital dashboard, change the screens and have a whole host of different settings. Overall, it's a car that I think offers so much for the money. I'm going to shut it off quickly. And would fit so well in my collection, obviously with the GT and with the Heritage RS, which is one reason why I'm leaning more towards a new order if I go for one, because I think, well, as many of you will know, with the Shmeemobiles, the cars, other than the SLS, they're all cars that I bought from new because I was in a position able to do so. The SLS came out, the SLS Black Series came out too long ago, when back at the time I would never have been able to even dream or think about one day owning that car, so I had to buy a car from the used market as opposed to a new one. So there's that element of it. Here in the US, there's a lot more stock cars generally around, so to speak, cars that come with fully spec'd or whatever it might be, sitting at dealerships waiting to be bought on 0 miles, whereas in Europe we tend more to order a car to our own unique specification. But with the GT500s, once you've added the carbon fibre track pack and the technology pack, which gives you a lot of comfort and convenience features, which most cars have the tech pack. I think pretty much all cars have the tech pack. The track pack is about 1 in 5, 1 in 6 cars, so not that many. But outside of that, it's only really a few colour options, and maybe if you want a car cover, or I can't even think off the top of my head, but not all that much. I do think I would want a bright and leery colour. You know the Shmeemobiles, you know that all of the cars are bright and distinct colours. You could also have a painted black roof or the painted black stripes, depending which you might prefer. You can actually have the vinyl stripes as well if you don't want them painted. There are so many different options. For now though, a huge thanks to the guys here at the Triple F Collection. Some incredible cars that I've been lucky to drive during this visit. And now the GT500, which gives me plenty of food for thought as well. For now though, let me know what you think. Should it happen? Should a GT500 be in the Shmeemobiles? And what should I do with it? That's it though for this time. Thank you very much for watching as always guys, and I'll see you again very soon. Cheers!